Jennifer Doherty was tortured and murdered earlier this year. Her body found near Greensburg-Salem Middle
With
School.
the torture and the murder of a woman in Westmoreland County are set to have their preliminary hearing today.
It was February 2010, and in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, 30-year-old Jennifer Doherty, a kind-hearted woman with a developmental disability, had planned to meet friends for a fun outing. Jennifer, who had worked at a local supermarket and lived with her family, was well liked in her community for her warmth, infectious smile, and positive attitude. Despite her disability, she had always strived for independence, living a life full of hope and trust in others. But that cold winter afternoon, Jennifer's life would take a tragic turn. She left her home with plans to meet a group of people she had recently become friendly with. She seemed excited, as she had always been open to meeting new people, someone who would see the good in everyone. Little did she know, the group of people she was meeting had dark and sinister intentions. When Jennifer didn't return home that evening, her family grew concerned. She was close to her family, and it wasn't like her to vanish without a word. They called her friends, but no one knew where she was. The worry turned to panic as the hours passed, and Jennifer's family filed a missing persons report with the local police. The search for her began immediately, but what authorities didn't know at the time was that Jennifer was already in the hands of a group of dangerous individuals who would soon rob her of her life in the most horrific of ways. Jennifer's captors were a group of 6 people, most of whom had been involved in criminal behavior before and had a history of drug use, violence, and manipulative tendencies. Jennifer had met them through acquaintances, and because of her trusting nature, she had no reason to doubt their intentions. She wasn't aware of the danger she was walking into. It was chilling how easily these strangers manipulated her into their trap. On that fateful day, they lured Jennifer to an apartment where they planned to torture and ultimately kill her. The horror that Jennifer endured over the next few days was unimaginable. The group held her captive, locking her away in a dark, filthy apartment. What followed was a series of unspeakable acts of violence. Jennifer was brutally assaulted, physically tortured, and psychologically tormented by her captors. The group subjected her to cruel beatings, stabbed her with knives, and bound her with ropes. They used her for sadistic amusement, humiliating and degrading her in every way possible. The torture went on for hours, then days. Jennifer tried to fight back, pleading for her life, but it was all in vain. The people she had trusted, people she had considered friends, were monsters who took pleasure in her suffering. The group's sadistic behavior seemed to escalate with each passing moment until it culminated in the most horrifying of acts. Jennifer's life was taken. They left her lifeless body in that apartment for some time, trying to cover their tracks. But the brutality of their actions left a chilling trail behind. After they had murdered Jennifer, they attempted to dispose of her body, dumping her in a nearby park in an effort to conceal their crime. But no amount of effort could hide the heinous nature of what they had done. Jennifer's body was found on February 12, 2010, in the parking lot of a nearby park. The police quickly investigated the crime scene, and the brutality of her murder became apparent. Evidence suggested that Jennifer had been tortured before being killed, and the scene appeared to have been staged in an attempt to mislead investigators. The discovery of her body shocked the community, and the police launched a full investigation to find out who was responsible for such a heinous act. It didn't take long before authorities began questioning the people who were closest to Jennifer, and in a horrifying twist, the people who had been in her life, the ones she thought were her friends, became the prime suspects. The police soon traced the murder to the group that had abducted Jennifer. It was revealed that the perpetrators had been in contact with Jennifer in the days leading up to her death. As the investigation continued, the dark truth about these individuals came to light. They were not strangers to Jennifer, but people she had trusted, people she had believed to be her friends. They had manipulated and coerced her into their grasp, preying on her kind and trusting nature. The group's disturbing and sadistic motivations were uncovered. They had kept Jennifer captive not just out of malice, but for their own sick pleasure, torturing her for days before finally taking her life. Their reasons for doing so remained unclear, but it became evident that they had no remorse for what they had done. As the investigation unfolded, police uncovered the shocking details of the torture and murder, as well as how Jennifer had been exploited by the very people she had trusted. The realization that Jennifer's death was not the work of a random stranger, but of a group of people from her life, made the crime even more chilling. How could those she thought she knew, people she had befriended, be capable of such evil? The 6 individuals involved in Jennifer's murder were arrested and charged. During the trial, it became clear that the group had acted in concert to commit the brutal crime. They showed no remorse, and many of them even tried to downplay their involvement. But the evidence against them was overwhelming. Scully and Blau, along with the other assailants, were convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. Their sentences did not erase the trauma or bring back Jennifer, but they served as a grim reminder of the dangers that can lurk even among those we trust. Jennifer Dougherty's murder left a deep scar on her family, friends, and the entire community of Greensburg. She was a beloved daughter, sister, and friend whose life was tragically stolen from her. Her story was one of kindness and trust, but also a stark reminder of how easily that trust can be betrayed, especially by those who seem harmless on the surface. Jennifer's family, devastated by her loss, worked tirelessly to honor her memory, advocating for others with disabilities and bringing awareness to the dangers that can lie behind seemingly innocent friendships. The case also sparked a larger conversation about the vulnerability of people with developmental disabilities and how society must work to protect them from exploitation and harm. Her murder continues to resonate as a tragic example of how a trusting nature can be manipulated and exploited. Jennifer Dougherty's death may have been senseless, but her life, marked by kindness and a genuine desire for connection, is a legacy that reminds us of the importance of compassion and the need to protect those who are most vulnerable.